What makes a great leader? Is it moral integrity, strategic genius, or the ability to inspire loyalty? Throughout history, leaders have been shaped by different philosophies on power, ethics, and governance. Among the most influential thinkers on leadership is Niccolò Machiavelli, whose seminal work, The Prince, continues to intrigue and provoke centuries after it was written. Machiavelli is often remembered as the founder of political realism, a school of thought that seeks to understand politics as it is, rather than as it ought to be. But buried within Machiavelli's work is a deep exploration of leadership, one that centers not on idealistic virtues, but on the qualities a leader must possess to achieve success in a volatile, competitive world. One of the key concepts in The Prince is the notion of virtue. But unlike traditional definitions of virtue, those that emphasize qualities like kindness, justice, or humility, Machiavelli's virtue has a more nuanced meaning. It refers to a ruler's ability to shape their destiny, to act decisively, and to harness the forces around them, both external and internal, in order to maintain power. It is an idea that stands in stark contrast to conventional ethics and moral leadership, focusing instead on the practical capabilities of a leader. So, what exactly is virtue, and how does it define the nature of leadership in Machiavelli's vision? In this essay, we will explore Machiavelli's concept of virtue, its role in shaping leadership, and how it contrasts with other views on what makes a good ruler. By analyzing Machiavelli's ideas in The Prince, we can better understand the characteristics that set great leaders apart from the rest. Before we dive deep into Machiavelli's philosophy of leadership and the concept of virtue, I'd like to welcome you to the Unfolding Journey channel. Here, we explore some of history's most powerful and thought-provoking ideas, diving into topics like philosophy, politics, leadership, and human nature. We aim to unravel the ideas that continue to shape the world, guiding you through timeless concepts that remain relevant today. If you enjoy thought-provoking discussions and wish to learn more about the forces that shape societies, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's embark on this intellectual adventure together, and I promise, it'll be one you won't want to miss. To fully understand Machiavelli's view of leadership, we must first define what he means by virtue. In The Prince, Machiavelli uses the term to refer to the set of qualities that enable a ruler to thrive in an unpredictable and often hostile political environment. However, virtue does not translate directly into the traditional notion of virtue, which often implies moral goodness or righteousness. Instead, Machiavelli's virtue is more about adaptability, decisiveness, and the capacity to act in ways that are often difficult, ruthless, or controversial. A ruler with virtue is one who is able to manipulate circumstances and take advantage of opportunities to consolidate power, regardless of the ethical implications. What distinguishes virtue from traditional ideas of virtue is that it is deeply connected to the context of leadership. It is not about conforming to ethical norms or moral codes. Rather, it is about recognizing the complexities of human nature and the harsh realities of political life. To be a successful leader, Machiavelli argues, one must be capable of making tough decisions that might not align with conventional notions of right and wrong. In other words, a great leader must be prepared to bend or break the rules if necessary to secure the state and maintain control. Machiavelli emphasizes that virtue is not a static trait, but a dynamic one that allows a leader to adapt to changing circumstances. For example, in The Prince, he argues that a leader must be able to act in different ways depending on the situation. In times of peace, a ruler might display qualities of generosity and mercy to win the loyalty of their subjects. However, in times of crisis or war, a ruler may need to be more ruthless, employing force and cunning to protect the state and defeat enemies. This adaptability, according to Machiavelli, is the hallmark of a strong leader. A ruler with virtue is someone who is able to perceive and respond to the ebb and flow of fortune, political shifts, and social dynamics. In essence, virtue is a reflection of a leader's capacity to control their destiny, regardless of the obstacles they face. One of the most essential components of virtue is prudence, the ability to make wise, calculated decisions in the face of uncertainty. Machiavelli stresses that a ruler should not act impulsively, but should always consider the consequences of their actions. In The Prince, he writes that a leader should be like a fox, capable of recognizing traps, and like a lion, strong enough to face danger head-on. This balance between calculation and strength is crucial for a leader's success. Prudence enables a ruler to act strategically, making the right decisions at the right time, while strength provides the resolve to follow through with tough choices. Together, these qualities form the foundation of virtue, and they allow a leader to maintain control over the forces that threaten their power. Another key element of Machiavelli's philosophy is the relationship between virtue and fortune, or luck. Machiavelli famously compares these two forces in The Prince, arguing that while virtue is essential for success, fortune plays a significant role in shaping a leader's destiny. In his view, fortune is an unpredictable force that can change the course of events, often beyond a ruler's control. However, he insists that a great leader is not entirely at the mercy of fortune. Rather, the ruler with virtue is capable of responding to changing circumstances and seizing opportunities, even when fortune seems to be against them. Machiavelli uses the metaphor of a river to illustrate the interaction between virtue and fortune. Just as a river may flood unexpectedly, sweeping away whatever lies in its path, fortune can create situations that are beyond a ruler's control. However, a skilled leader, one with virtue, will be like a careful navigator, adjusting their course to avoid disaster and taking advantage of the current to achieve their goals. In this sense, virtue allows a ruler to control their fate, or at least mitigate the impact of fortune. Machiavelli's concept of virtue stands in direct contrast to the traditional moral framework of leadership. In classical philosophy, great leaders were expected to possess virtues such as justice, courage, and temperance, all of which were aimed at promoting the well-being of their people and upholding moral values. For Aristotle, for example, a good leader would embody the virtues of fairness and wisdom, governing not just for the sake of power, but for the good of the state. In Machiavelli's view, however, such idealistic virtues are not practical in the chaotic world of politics. Instead, the leader's primary responsibility is to maintain power and ensure the stability of the state. For this reason, a ruler with virtue may be willing to employ morally questionable tactics such as deceit, manipulation, or cruelty, if these actions are necessary to achieve their goals. In The Prince, Machiavelli famously asserts that the ends justify the means, a statement that encapsulates his pragmatic approach to leadership. This pragmatic, sometimes ruthless view of leadership has earned Machiavelli a reputation as a proponent of unscrupulous politics. Critics have long accused him of advocating for tyranny and immorality. However, Machiavelli's supporters argue that he is simply being realistic, offering a guide for leaders who must navigate a world filled with rivals, treachery, and instability. In this light, Machiavelli's rejection of traditional morality can be seen as a response to the complexities and dangers of political life rather than an endorsement of unethical behavior. Throughout The Prince, Machiavelli provides several examples of historical figures who exemplified virtue. One of the most frequently cited examples is the military leader Cesare Borgia, whom Machiavelli views as a model of political skill. Despite Borgia's ruthless tactics, Machiavelli admires his ability to maneuver through political and military challenges, consolidating power and maintaining control in an unstable environment. Machiavelli also draws upon the examples of more traditional leaders, such as Moses and Alexander the Great, to demonstrate how virtue can enable a ruler to overcome significant obstacles. What these leaders all share is the ability to act decisively, maintain control, and adapt to changing circumstances. Their actions may have been morally questionable, but their virtue allowed them to achieve extraordinary success in the face of adversity. Machiavelli's ideas have been the subject of intense debate and criticism since the publication of The Prince. Critics argue that his emphasis on power and the pragmatic use of deception, cruelty, and manipulation can lead to tyranny and unethical leadership. They contend that Machiavelli's rejection of traditional morality undermines the ethical foundations of good governance. On the other hand, supporters of Machiavelli's work argue that he is not advocating for a moral behavior, but rather providing a realistic analysis of the challenges faced by rulers. In a world where political survival often requires difficult choices, Virtù offers a framework for leaders to act decisively and effectively, even when faced with morally ambiguous situations. Regardless of one's position on Machiavelli's ethics, it is clear that the concept of virtue remains a critical element of political thought. His work continues to influence leaders, politicians, and theorists around the world, offering valuable insights into the nature of power, leadership, and the complexities of governance. Machiavelli's concept of virtue presents a radical departure from traditional moral and ethical frameworks for leadership. Rather than focusing on virtues like justice, kindness, and humility, Machiavelli emphasizes the practical qualities a ruler must possess to succeed in the unpredictable and often dangerous world of politics. Virtue is about adaptability, decisiveness, and the ability to navigate the complexities of power, even if it requires morally questionable actions. While his ideas have sparked controversy and debate, there is no denying that virtue provides a powerful lens through which we can understand the dynamics of leadership and the pursuit of power. If you found this analysis of Machiavelli's Virtù insightful, be sure to subscribe to the Unfolding Journey channel. We delve into the great ideas that have shaped history and continue to influence the world today. Don't miss out on future discussions on philosophy, politics, and leadership. Subscribe now and join us on this intellectual journey.